Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss the solution of the problem kth is smallest. So let us look at the problem statement. The problem statement says given an array ARR and an integer k where k is smaller than the size of the array, the task is to find the kth smallest element in the given array. It is given that all array elements are distinct. So for instance, if this is the array which is given to us and the value of k equals to 3, so we need to return the third smallest element, and the third smallest element is 7. That is what we are going to return over here. So that's about the problem statement, folks. Now let us discuss the solution of this problem. So let us understand the general idea behind solving this problem. So what we are going to do over here is, so first what we are going to do is we are going to find the maximum element of the array. Once we have found out the maximum element of the array, then we are going to take a temporary array. Let us call that temporary as frequency, and the size of this frequency array will be maximum plus 1, and let us initialize all the elements to 0. So its size will be maximum plus 1. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to iterate on the array, and we are going to mark all the elements which are present in the array in the frequency list as well. So iterate on the array and mark its presence in the frequency list. And now once the frequency list is populated, all we have to do is we have to iterate on the frequency list and find the kth smallest element. So this is the general idea behind solving this problem. Now let us take an example in order to understand it completely. So let us say this is the array which is given to us and the value of k is equals to 3. So first we need to find the maximum element of this array. The maximum element of this array, as we can see, is 20. Now the next thing which we do is we take a frequency array, and the size of this frequency array is 20, and all the elements of this frequency element is 0. Please note the size of this array is 21, which is ranging from 0 to all the way till 20. Now what we are going to do is we are going to iterate on the array one more time, and we are going to update the presence of this element in the frequency array. So initially the frequency array will be something like this, and it contains all zeros. Now since the 7th element exists, we are going to mark it as 1. Similarly, the 10th element exists, so we are going to mark it as 1. Similarly, for 4, 3, 20 and 15. So after the traversal, all these elements, which is 3, 4, 7, 10, 15 and 20, will be marked as 1, and the remaining element will be 0. Now once we have this, all we have to do is iterate on the frequency list which we have. So we will keep on iterating on the frequency list, and we will check whether frequency of I is not equals to 0. If frequency of I is not equals to 0, then we are going to increase our count by count equals to count plus frequency of I. Essentially, we are trying to find out the kth smallest element. And once we have this count greater than or equals to k, then that simply means that the ith element is the kth smallest element, and we are going to return I. And this is how we will be able to find the kth smallest element. So that's the discussion of solution, folks. Now let us discuss the pseudocode of this problem. So let us say we want to find the kth smallest, and an array is given to us and the value of k is given to us. So the first thing which we are going to do is find the maximum element of the array, and that can be found out using this max function. An initial value of maximum equals to -1. Now once we have this, let us have our frequency list with all zeros, and the size of this list is maximum plus 1. Now again we are going to iterate on the array, and we are going to mark its presence in the frequency list. So let us do that. Frequency of element equals to frequency of element plus 1. This is how we mark its presence in the frequency list. And once we have our frequency list populated, all we have to do is let's have our count equals to 0, and all we have to do is iterate on I in range 1 to maximum plus 1. And if frequency of I is not equals to 0, then let us increase our count by frequency of I, and then let us check if this is the kth element. So if this is the kth element, then count will be greater than or equals to k, and then we can return I. And in this way, we will be able to find the kth smallest element. So that's the pseudocode, folks. Now let us see how we have implemented this in Python and C++. So first, let us look at the Python implementation. Using this loop, we are finding the maximum element of the array. Once we have the maximum element of the array, we are creating a list of size maximum plus 1, and all the values are initialized to 0. Then we are iterating on the array one more time in order to mark its presence in the frequency list. Once we have updated our frequency list, then we are iterating on I for I in range of 1 to maximum plus 1, and then we are checking whether the frequency of I is not equals to 0. If frequency of I is not equals to 0, then we are increasing the count by frequency of I, and towards the end we are checking whether count is greater than or equals to k. If it is, then we are returning I. So that's the Python implementation, folks. Now let us submit our solution. So our Python solution got accepted. Now let us look at the C++ implementation. So the C++ implementation is also the same, folks. Over here we are finding the maximum element. Once we have the maximum element, then we are creating a frequency list of size maximum plus 1 and all values set to 0. Then we are iterating on the array in order to mark its presence in the frequency list. Once the frequency list is populated, we are iterating on I for I equals to 0 to maximum. If frequency of I exists, then count equals to count plus frequency. And then we are checking whether this is the kth element. If this is the kth element, then we are returning I. So that's the C++ implementation, folks. Now let us submit our solution. So our C++ implementation also got accepted. That is all from this video, folks. In case if you have any question or comment regarding this video, please feel free to use the comment section and I'll try to address them. Thank you.